welcome back to Call the Damn Leads, the show by sales professionals for sales professionals. I'm your host, Drew B. Wilson. With more than 2 decades in sales, I've seen it, been through it, heard about it. Now I'm bringing it to you, my favorite people in the world, the sales community. Because let's be honest, this is the greatest job on earth. Doesn't matter where you come from, what background, what personality type, you can carve out an amazing life in sales if you're willing to do the work. Today's guest, no stranger to that process, is Mr. David Forster. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I appreciate you being here, man. I want to jump right in. I want to hear your crazy sales story.
Yeah, maybe a little different than you usually hear. The first business that we sold was actually because I had a dream in the middle of the winter, and God said, "Put it down." So, wasn't my normal dream. I dream a lot, but that wasn't a normal dream. We had a landscape business. We had just gotten married. Started this landscape business within like the same month. I don't recommend. And after 4 years of growth and everything being great, customers loved us, like having a great time, had that dream, and come to find out my wife, who was working full time running the office for me, was absolutely miserable. And it was like the best investment we ever made in our future, for our marriage, our family, our businesses. And we've built 6 others and sold 3 since then. So it was
I can imagine having a dream like that would really make you ask a lot of questions.
Yeah. Yep. Spent about a week after that, just kind of like, what's going, at least it was winter and we weren't that busy.
So, you make this decision, you have this dream. What were the steps that you had to go in? Like, I'm sure it was not an easy conversation to have with your clients or your employees, letting them know like this was going to happen. So like, what sort of process did you have to go through in order to really make that exit?
Yeah, that was, that was the first business we had built together in my early 20s. So I was in my mid 20s by that point. And so I was not a veteran in understanding brokers and markets and valuations and all that stuff. It was, I just took the bulldog route to it, and I'd listed it on Craigslist. This was a while ago, right? So I listed it on Craigslist, man. Started having conversations with guys that were calling, and I just kind of hacked through it as figuring it out. But it ended up in a really good way. Had a really good conversation with another service provider, and put the team in a good position, put all the clients in a good position, put his business in a good position, and allowed us to do what we needed to do. So it was good.
I love that. That's something I have a conversation with some of our clients about on occasion, because it's almost from a marketing perspective. It's like, hey, yeah, you can try to outspend everybody else, but what if you can go and acquire someone that's in a similar industry or has your clients already? And, you never know when someone's wanting to get out of a situation that they're in, because just from the outside, it might look good. But as you mentioned, your wife's working full time. She's miserable. Some owners like get to a point where they're just burnt out and they don't want to do it anymore. And so acquisition can make it a lot easier than trying to bulldog your way through. And I would imagine that was a big part of what kind of got you into really focusing on the operational side of businesses. I was kind of reading through your profile. So tell me a little bit about, you said you built like 6 and sold 3. Share some more of that story.
Yeah, we've built 7 so far. We're in our 8th right now. We've sold 4 along the way. We had 2 landscape companies, a book sales business like Amazon online book sales, and logistics like pack and ship business that we have sold in the past, and the bike shop. Totally skipped over the bike shop. Sorry. We had a bike
Bikes?
shop.
Do you say bicycles or like motorcycles?
Yeah. No, bicycles. Yep, we were
nice.
I love the mental health aspect of exercise, and we did that for several years, building community, and it was great. So in that first sale, though, is when I realized like the reason she was miserable wasn't because she hated the work. It was because we just didn't have a life together. We got married, and all of our conversations were business conversations. It was till 9-10 o'clock at night. I was up till midnight doing paperwork and invoicing and designs and all these other things. And it wasn't until I started putting the right systems in place and delegating some of the right tasks that then I could actually be at home and not be completely stressed out about, is this getting taken care of? Who's doing this? I need to do it myself. And so that's where that ball started rolling. And each business after that just got more and more accustomed to how to put the right systems there, how to make them efficient, and here we are.
It's so it's so interesting having these conversations, especially when you're working with clients, because a lot of times it's, well, nobody can do it better than I can, or like I'm the only one that knows how to do this. And so getting someone to delegate or let go of control can be really, really tricky. And I
Yeah,
think there's a lot of small business owners, entrepreneurs, sales professionals, all, I mean, all kind of lumped in together, who are struggling through that process right now. So when you think about systems, processes, delegation, like what are some of the top two or three things that you really look at and go like, hey, here's where you need to prioritize?
yeah. I mean, valuing your time and knowing where your skill sets are. So, as the owner and the leader, no matter, even if you're not the owner, if you're just a leader, knowing where your strengths are at and being able to identify strengths in the rest of your team, and knowing that letting go doesn't mean letting go of control. It just means letting go of the physical doing. And if you have the right systems in place and you're tracking the right things, you control everything. You can make minor adjustments and recommendations if you're looking at the right information. So I think it's originally or initially that overwhelm of letting go of control is because you think it's just like give it to them and they're going to do it their way and it's probably going to be wrong. It's like, no, just give them a system, like pull it out of here. What do you do? Train them how to do that. And yeah,
Yeah, it's the spider web of knowledge and information that you start like it's like a big box of wires that's been in the closet for too many years, and you start trying to like ask people like, all right, well, what's the process for this? And like, well, you do this and then this and this. It's like, so you have a system and a process, it's
yep,
just not written down, it's not
yep,
repeatable, because you're the only person who really understands it. And it's,
yeah,
you start pulling those threads, man, and it's crazy the kind of stuff that comes out of there and just gets lumped all into one big system. And it's like, well,
yeah,
no, man, there's a lot of moving parts in the machine, and that machine all runs because each thing has a specific use and a role and a process. And so what are some of the things that you
yeah.
typically will advise people on to start delegating first?
Um, I mean, if you're as an owner, like a virtual assistant or an executive assistant of some type, to just start handling the like monotonous, repetitive tasks. I heard somebody say that your inbox is really just somebody else's to do list that
Ooh.
they prioritize for you. And I was like, oh gosh, that, yeah, like, nope, okay, never looking at that again, I guess. So I created a specific way that we folder things, and my assistant just folders things so that I know how to prioritize what I'm looking at. That's a really great way to get back uh, absurd amount of your time that you don't realize is getting sucked away. Because how often do we just look at our phone and check our inbox and read an email real quick, and next thing you know, 8 minutes went by, and you did that 15 times today, and it's like, oh, I don't have time to work out. Well, you spent 2.5 hours on emails that didn't matter, so you did. But so starting in the simple stuff, um, but really getting if you've got a team that's operating and it is in a role that's just not performing, or it's just not going the way you want, or you're dropping things through cracks, it's really honing in on like, what is the role description? What are they responsible for? How are you measuring that? And letting them know, like, what does a win even look like? Like, is it clock in, clock out and take your check? Or is it like these specific performing indicators of this many things of this category a day, or we need to be at this percentage of something? Or yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of value to that, and I'm loving the conversation because this is the stuff I nerd out on. Right? It's like, all right, a, what is your time actually worth, and where are you spending it? And I always tell people like, hey man, if you were an average person and you worked a 40-hour work week, 50 weeks a year with your 2 week vacation, which you and I both know, zero entrepreneurs only work 40 hours a week, at least not at start, right? Maybe they
right,
get
yeah,
to a point where they've built the systems, but like, hey man, if you were an average person, you'd work $2,000 a year. So how much money did you take home? And divide that by 2,000, that's what your time's worth. And
yep,
anytime you're doing a job that could be done by somebody else for less than that dollar amount, you're stealing from your business, you're stealing from your family, and ultimately you're stealing it from yourself.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
What
And it's other
Go ahead.
opportunities you can open up for your team as well.
So how do you advise a listener who's in that stuck space right now, like what are the things that they should be prioritizing?
It's going to be different for everybody, but I usually say when I'm working with new clients or something, it's like, hey, what is the thing that like in the last 3 hours made you want to throw your phone against the wall, like, or you said I've told you this 10 times, or this keeps happening, or what are those things? Start small. Just grab one of those things and just tackle it and make it. Doesn't have to be fancy. If SOP doesn't make any sense to you, standard operating procedure, if that's just like this thing that just makes you want to gouge your eyes out, it doesn't have to be whatever. It's your business. So make it the way that it works for you and your team, and just make a simple step by step of like, these are the questions that I think when this comes up. Here's how I answer them, and here's how I put them into action. And that's really all you need.
I love that. And so when you look at businesses that are doing like, a million to a couple million a year, like what are the patterns that you're seeing that really help them succeed versus the folks that kind of just get stuck in that no man's land?
Yeah, it's in that growth point really where below that, almost everybody on the team is wearing more than one hat, right? In the beginning, the owner is like, you're wearing all the hats, you're doing all the things, you are the technician, you are the marketing, you are everything. And you start to take some of those hats off and give them to people, and then you realize like, hey, you could probably also do this today anyway. Like, can you do? And once you get to that point where a million, 2 million, you need to grow and scale, everybody needs to be focused. And so if you're a plumbing business and your techs are also trying to help with social media, like, no, I need you to be out there like servicing and fixing and installing. So getting those things, just every role very focused, as few hats as possible for each person, and measuring it. That's the like tracking what you need to know that today was a success.
Yeah, one of my mentors always said, "What gets measured gets improved." And so it's so interesting when you really get clear on KPIs. And for those of you that have no idea what a KPI is, that's a
Yeah,
key performance indicator, right? And that should be a red flag to you right there. If you don't know what a
yeah,
KPI is, like you don't know your numbers, you don't know how you can realistically scale. And I see this a lot when I'm working with sales guys and small businesses. It's like, well, how much are you spending on marketing? $3,000 a month. Okay, and how many leads is that generating you? 100. Okay, and of those 100 leads, how many are you selling? And what's your ticket value on average for every person that you sell? And then what's your sales cycle? And they're like, oh, eventually you get to a point where they can't give you that answer. And you're
right.
like, well, that's where we start figuring it out right here. So
Yep.
like, can you give us a real world example of like one company you worked with where you're like, hey, we need to stop doing this and start doing this, or we need to make this little tweak, and it like all of a sudden open the floodgates for them?
Yeah. I it's such a common thing. I don't know if I can nail it down to like one, but um, when you're doing a recurring service stop type business, things can like little things can add up a lot, right? So a mowing business that averages 22 minutes per stop for residential mowing. Um, if you actually look at how they approach the property, how they unload, how they park, where the tools are out on the truck, how they actually do the mowing pattern, and where they end up when they're done. If they're at the back and they have to drive all the way across the yard every time, those little things add up. 30 seconds, 60 seconds, whatever. And when you're doing 15, 20 stops a day, now all of a sudden you've got time to add 1 or 2 or 3 more yards per day. That's 15 yards a week, but that's also per crew. So like when
Mm.
we did this for one specific, it was about $34,000 to the bottom line. Like, didn't hire anybody new, didn't get any more equipment, just changed the effectiveness of how they approached each lawn, and were able to add more lawns to the crews. And it was 34,000 to the bottom line per crew. So you just take, how many crews do you have? You got 10. There's $300,000 to your bottom line because you just learned how to effectively approach how you're doing it. And
It's
that was,
so crazy how that works.
yeah. And
It
they weren't
and
working any harder. They weren't going faster. They were just doing it different.
Well, and that kind of leads me to the next question, because a lot of small business owners are like, "Oh, we just got to work harder. We just got to work harder." I remember when I was selling insurance, we were like one of the top agencies in our market, and we got all the
Yeah.
awards. And then the owner would come in and be like, "Oh, well, so and so outsold us on this specific type of policy. Like, we got to work harder. We got to do a better job." And at one point, I was just like, I don't know how much harder we can work. So like, how do you get people to shift that mindset from like work harder to working more efficient, or to build a real system and process? Because the mindset piece of this, I think, is just as important as the actual system or process that you install.
Yeah. It's the small, getting some small wins, starting somewhere where it makes an impact on them, something in their like personal day to day. So if we can show them either with the email inbox thing, get them some time back that they can then spend with their kids or something, like what are they looking for? What's the outcome they need from these systems being in place? Fix one or two of the low hanging fruit and show them like this is what you can do with an extra 20 minutes a day or whatever, and then run that in to the other stuff. Sometimes they're a numbers nerd like me, and you tell me that I can add a couple more yards a day on my lawn. I'm like, heck, let's do this. Like, you guys are going to do this now.
Yeah.
Let's do role plays on mowers. Like, here we go.
And that's what I love about entrepreneurship and sales, because like I said earlier, like you can literally create whatever life you want, but you have to get clarity on what you want. And
Right.
most people, when you ask them what they want, they're like, I want to be successful. It's like, but what does that actually mean to you? Is it,
Yeah.
you make a certain amount of money every year, or you have enough time to go to your kids' ball games on the weekend? Because there's a lot of people that will leave their 40-hour a week job to work 80 hours a week for themselves, not realizing that they're literally sacrificing the thing that they want, thinking they're going to get it because they're going to work hard and they're going to do all this stuff. But like, what, where do you find that when you're working with clients, there's that actual moment of hard conversation of like, hey man, what do you want?
I mean, I try to have it as early as possible in our conversation, because I know the value of it, and it helps me understand how to to build for them. If their success is like, I freaking love what we do and I just want to get back in the field and build stuff. I'm tired of working on the back end stuff. Then I got to build the whole structure of the team different. We're looking at hiring, and building roles for different people. We don't need to hire, another crew person. We need to hire somebody to run the business type thing. And so making sure that the structure is right for that. If it's they just want more time, then we got to get the tracking dashboard stuff in place if they want to be able to see it. So I have it as soon as possible, and kind of help them walk through, because that was what it was for me. Like, I thought in that first business that we sold, like I just thought, you know what, I can tell she's not happy, but I just got to go harder and get it done now, and then we'll be able to get out of this sooner. Like, right, it'll just be everything it'll just magically fix itself. Like, if I just work harder, all the things will fall into place, right? And it's like, no, it just gets a bigger mess. So yeah.
It's interesting when you start spinning that hamster wheel faster. The only thing that happens is it squeaks more and makes more of a ruckus.
And when you trip, it hurts more.
Oh,
You
yeah,
see
and
the hamster now, wah 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 wah.
yeah, and there's so many small businesses that are going through that right now. They're literally just tumbling through their day to day. They have zero idea how to like get back on solid footing. And there
Yeah.
are times where you have to cut certain things, or eliminate certain pieces from the overall business so that you can get clarity. One of the things a friend of mine and I often talk about, one of my clients, is that all of these folks think that to be a millionaire, you have to have 7 streams of income. So they're like, well, we're going to add on this thing to our business, and we're going to add on this, we do this, so we're going to add this because it's just a great ancillary product. And like, sure, there may be times where that makes sense, but I'd say the majority of them, they're just giving themselves a distraction from the actual thing that they should be doing. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've done it. And in landscape world, it's easy to do, right? You can, in a landscape company, there's, just, I know I only say that example because I've done it a few times and it's easy, but there's mowing, there's fertilizer, there's irrigation, there's lighting, there's design and install stuff. And so it's like, you really got like 5 or 6 businesses that you're like, you just have they're all in similar industry, and they kind of flow together. But it's much more profitable to have one system that you need to train your team on that they are extremely excellent in, right? So if you're an irrigation company and that's all you do, mowing a lawn, you're like, well, yeah, I could probably learn to do that because we put irrigation in lawns, they go together, but totally different skill sets. So yeah, I
I see
agree.
this a lot in like with sales professionals too. You know, if you're trying to come up and have a conversation and you've got nine different products that you're like, all right, well, should I sell them this one or should I sell them this one or should like, no, 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 no. You sell this thing. You solve one problem. There's one
Yeah,
solution to that problem. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And again, this kind of falls in line with the adding those different services because now your sales guys are like, well, I mean, we sell this, but you might also want this, and then there's this, and then it's I'm gonna have to think about it. And it's
yeah.
like, well, what is there? It's like, well, you're giving them way too many things to figure out, man. Like
Decision
you
fatigue.
decision fatigue, absolutely. And I think that happens a lot in businesses too, which I'd be curious on. You know, how do you help these small businesses really get focused on what decisions are important, how to prioritize them, and then, like, could you give some examples of some of those things for our listeners?
Yeah. I mean, right now, like a lot of times you're just running around putting out fires, right? That's the thing. And so you don't know what to focus on. Like I'm just reacting to what's coming at me every day. I know how to problem solve quickly solve problems on my feet. Like, so I'm just getting it done as fast as possible. Cause if I stop, the whole thing's going to burn down.
Mm.
And not, that's, it feels like that, but that's not true. Right. So,
Not most
it's
of the
really,
time, anyways.
it's slowing down and evaluating all of those things. Like, okay, is it urgent or important or both? Right. And kind of using that Eisenhower model of like the four quadrants. And if it's not urgent and not important, then just put it on a list, deal with it later. Like just stop, just don't even think about it. Just write it down and it's done. I'm not doing that until Friday. I'm going to look at that list or whatever. And if it's urgent and important, like let's deal with it. Somebody got hurt, somebody, whatever. But just prioritizing in that model in your mind, and it's hard at first, and you're going to mess up, and you're going to do, but it's gonna start to build momentum. You'll start to understand how to break things down, and you'll start delegating the things that were less urgent or less important. Somebody else can handle that. It sat on my desk for 3 weeks, and nothing bad happened. So if somebody else handles it faster than 3 weeks, it could probably be better, right? So yeah,
Yeah, I see this a lot, especially in small businesses, like 1 to 5 people, where the main owner, they're the problem solver. So everyone in the business, as soon as they hit like the tiniest little thing, they just immediately run to the boss and they're like, boss, we got
yeah,
this huge issue. And the boss is like, oh my God, I got to stop everything I'm doing so that I can help John solve this problem. And what I typically advise my clients is like have office hours. It's like, hey,
yeah,
if the thing ain't literally burning down, it's like, cool. I answer questions between 4 and 4:30. Come back to me at 4 o'clock and bring whatever this issue is. And like almost every time, not every time, but almost every time, by the time 4 o'clock comes around, they've already figured out the problem. But
yeah,
the problem starts with you and you deciding that you're going to solve everyone else's problems, and they just constantly keep running to you because they know that you'll do it.
yeah. And it feels good. It's kind of empowering, right? Like I think inside a lot of business owners is that like hero complex because it feels good. You feel like, well, if I step back, like I don't have any value. They don't need me. So then what? And it's like, hold on a
Mm.
second. No, that's like there's a whole lot of value on the things you should be doing, but that's what it just feels empowering to know. Well, I can answer anything. Let me show off a little bit, flex, and um, I like the office hours idea, and I also like throwing in with that like the 1-3-1 type model of, hey, bring me the main problem and three solutions you've come up with, and then like which one do you think we should do, and you can train through that. You can start helping them think along the same lines as you, and it's we've seen a lot of success, especially with field crews calling. If they don't, there's not an office hour that they can actually get to, right? So they're like calling in, and instead of calling with the "Hey boss, what do we do?" It's here's what we ran into. We could either do this or this. I'm leaning toward this. Am I right? And it's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, I love that, man. And, we could probably sit here and nerd out on this stuff for the next several hours, but I want to be respectful of your time because I know how valuable it is. What's the best way for those of us that have enjoyed this conversation, that like what you have going on, to find you, follow you, check out more of your content?
Yeah, Facebook or LinkedIn, just R David Forster. And you can jump on our website is systemsoversweat.com. Check out some info there.
I love it, man. I will definitely make sure we put all those links in the show notes so people can come and check you out. I always like to kind of ask this question on occasion. Let's say we get someone who's totally new to sales, and by all glory of God, they go to Google and they type in how to be successful at sales, and they somehow land on this specific episode, which they're going to get a ton of value on. But like, what one piece of advice would you give a salesperson to be successful as they start this career?
Um, yeah, I mean, keep it consistent. Like have a system for your customer journey. Have a system for your have a process for your sales, and stick to it consistently and don't drop the ball. Because if you can stay consistent with that, they're going to trust you. And if you drop the ball and you're all over the place, then you're going to have a hard time earning that respect and trust.
I love that answer. That is a. I don't think anyone's ever said just be consistent. So I appreciate that you share that, because I would say in my own journey, like just showing up and doing the things day after day after day, it improved the skill sets. It got me to a point where I was able to make those decisions and solve those problems a lot faster. So I
Yeah.
love that you shared it. I appreciate your time, man. This has been a very awesome conversation.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You guys know what to do next. If you love the show, share it on social media, tag me and David, let people know that you got some value out of your time here. Maybe even send it to somebody who absolutely sucks. Maybe you know someone that's like stuck on that hamster wheel and you're watching them tumble and you feel terrible, but there's nothing you can do. Send them this episode. Let's get them on track. Let's help them see the error of their ways so that they can live the life that they want to live, because that's ultimately what we're all in this for, man. We want to build success, we want to have the life, we want to do all the things, but you have to have the right systems and processes to do so. And David shared some amazing information with us today on how to do that. So send it out, tag us, let people know, leave your reviews, do all the things. And more than that, you guys know what to do. Go call the damn leads. We'll see you on the next one.